Hello, everyone, and welcome to UC Berkeley's virtual campus visit today for admitted and waitlisted students. So first off, I want to give everybody a big congratulations. We are super excited to get this tour started. So let's get going with some housekeeping first. But let me first introduce myself as well. So I will be your moderator today. I'm Nina. I use the she, her, hers pronouns. I'm originally from Ghent, Belgium, but I'm joining you here from Berkeley. So I'm an international student. If you have any questions about that, feel free to ask away during our Q&A session. I'm a sophomore here studying business administration and statistics. So now, again, congratulations to all of our new admits and waitlisted students as well. This is such an exciting time, and we are really, really excited to be giving you this tour today. And feel free to ask us any and all questions today. We are more than happy to be answering all of them. So just a little bit more housekeeping today. So this will be a 45-minute presentation and ending with a 50-minute Q&A session with our wonderful campus ambassadors. So please, as you can see, the chat has been disabled. So ask any and all of your questions in the Q&A function on your screen. We have wonderful campus ambassadors, not only on screen, but also in the background, who will be typing answers to your questions if we don't get to them in the live Q&A. Polls will also be regularly popping up on your screen, so feel free to answer those so that we can tailor this tour better to you and get kind of a greater sense of who's attending us here today. This visit will be recorded. However, there are different visits available on our YouTube channel that I will link at the end of this video, as well as if you want to attend any more tours, I will give you all the links and all the resources you need. And again, this is a campus overview from the student perspective, so we will not be covering any financial aid or any admissions kind of issues. But if you have any questions about that, please type away in the Q&A and we can always redirect you to the correct resources. So I will now hand it off to our wonderful tour guides today who will be giving you the tour. Enjoy.
Hello, everyone, and congratulations. I'm so excited to welcome you to the Golden Bear family. My name is Kara, and I use the she, hers, pronouns, and I'm from Valencia, California. It's down in SoCal, Magic Mountain, if you've ever maybe driven past it. I am a junior studying Media Studies and Sociology. And outside of my academics, I'm involved in the UC Valley Committee, which is a spirit group here on campus. We wave flags at football games. We fire a real cannon whenever we score. It's really cool. I'm also involved in Greek life. I'm in a social sorority. If you have any questions about Greek life, definitely put those in the Q&A section. I'm also in the Business Careers and Entertainment Club, or BCEC. So I'm looking to go into the entertainment industry after graduation, and this club is providing me with some great connections. I'm also a lifeguard on campus, so if you have any questions about campus jobs, put that in the Q&A. I also have an internship with a wine PR company off campus.
Awesome. Thank you, Nina and Kara. So my name is Violet. I'm going to be your other guide for today, and I use she pronouns series as well. And I actually grew up in Berkeley, California, so I really did not go far for college. If you're from the Bay Area, welcome. If you're from California, welcome. And also, if you're from out of the country, welcome. I hope it's not too late or too early in the day for you. We're really glad that you're here. I'm also in my third year at Cal, but I will be graduating this spring. So giving this tour is very exciting and makes me very nostalgic for 3 years ago today when I myself learned I was going to go to Berkeley. I study physical geography, so that's a little bit like earth science combined with social science. In particular, most of the classes I've chosen to take involve climate science in some respect, and I'm hoping to go on to a master's program in that at some point in the future. Some of the things I do on campus include undergraduate research in our geography department in something called paleoecology that I didn't know existed before I came to Berkeley. I also dance with Cal Ballroom, so that's a competitive Latin and ballroom dancing team at UC Berkeley that anybody can join, even if they've never danced a day in their life. And I love to hike and camp and backpack and spend time outside. So I'm also a member of a group on campus that does that. And we're also going to mention some couple different things about housing in today's tour. And we might mention the BSC, or the Berkeley Student Cooperative, which is a nonprofit housing association on campus that I myself was a member of this last school year, getting to live in a big cooperative house. So if you have any questions about any of these things or anything at all, or anything we don't mention, absolutely do put them down in the Q&A below. Keep our backend ambassadors busy. They'll be really excited and happy to get back to you.
Thank you so much, Violet. So just once again, welcome to Berkeley. We're so excited that you can be here virtually with us today. I hope you're very excited as well. And since we're learning a little bit about you on this poll, just want you to fill that out with who you are. And I'll kind of go through some of these pictures that are on the slide to introduce you to Berkeley. We have so many different opportunities here. There's so many places to explore and grow. You can see on the screen right in the middle is the statue of Sturdy the Bear. That's where we would be starting our tour if we were on campus today. And so there's lots of bear statues around campus. It's kind of a fun game to see if you can find all of them when you're walking around. And you can also see our football team. It's fun to go to games on a beautiful sunny day. You can also see students hanging out on Memorial Glade, which is that picture on the right. They're just kind of, having a good time, making friends, which is what we hope you will do here at Berkeley. I see we have lots of admitted undergrads here today, so I just want to congratulate you once again. I'm so proud of you, and I know everyone else on this tour is also proud of you for all of your accomplishments. And with that, we'll keep on.
Yeah, congratulations to all of you guys submitted students. And if anyone is waitlisted, I want to say congratulations to you as well. I myself was admitted off of the waitlist. So lots of students do come off the waitlist at Berkeley and end up going on to have a wonderful time at Cal. So regardless, we hope you enjoy this tour today. And some of the stuff we're going to talk about will include everything listed on this slide and hopefully lots of anecdotes from our own time here at Cal. If you have questions about any of these things, again, go ahead and just put them out there. We're really just going to talk about, the basics, housing, dining, student life, student resources, academics, all of that good stuff. But yeah, we wanted to tailor the tour to you. That's why we asked, who you are and where you're visiting us from. So absolutely, if you want us to talk about something, ask down in the Q&A.
We'll get started with a nice Berkeley overview. So we were founded in 1868, a very long time ago. We actually just celebrated our birthday earlier this week. We go by Berkeley, Cal, or just the University of California because we are the first UC campus in the whole system that includes like UC Santa Barbara, UC San Diego. So all of that, we are all connected, but Berkeley is the flagship institution. So that's why we can kind of claim the name of just Cal. Our mascot is the golden bear. You can see Oski right there hanging out. He's cool and lovable. You give him a high five. You can see him wandering around campus or at any of our sports events. So just lots of bears here, lots of themes of bears. We have about 30,000 undergraduate students and close to 12,000 graduate students. So that is a lot. It's a big number, much bigger than the high school that I came from. But honestly, it doesn't feel that big when you're just walking around campus. You can see some new faces every day, but it doesn't feel overly crowded usually. And there's lots of historical landmarks that we have here on campus. You can see the Campanile, which is our clock and bell tower. You can also see Sather Gate. So you usually walk through that to get to most of your classes. And it also was used kind of as inspiration for Monsters University since Pixar is located in Emeryville, which is a short, maybe 20 minutes away from our campus. It also was an Ant-Man and the Wasp, if anyone has ever seen that. So there's lots of things happening on our campus and lots of historical landmarks that you're surrounded by every single day.
Absolutely. Thanks for that, Kara. And, other than those historical landmarks, we have all of the wonderful people who inhabit our campus. And I want to go ahead and just talk a little bit about campus culture. And if you're visiting other campus visits, or maybe you went on in-person tours pre-COVID, you probably heard people talk a lot about like campus culture and what does it mean to be a golden bear. And if you're like me, you're probably like rolling your eyes, what does that even mean? But I do think there are some notable things that are somewhat unique to Berkeley that are worth mentioning. So because of its history, Berkeley really does have a focus among a lot of the students in the faculty on advocacy. This goes all the way back to the 1960s. You've probably studied the free speech movement in school, at least if you've had a California high school history curriculum. And there were all sorts of protests going on campus at the time because the UC system, the University of California, receives funding from the US federal government, which means that the regents or the people who control the UC system at the time thought that it would be inappropriate for students to speak out against the Vietnam War because that was funded by the federal government and so was the university. Obviously, students objected to this, and political sentiment in general at the time was largely, opposed to the war. And this led to a series of protests and demonstrations. Famously, Mario Savio stood on top of a police car on Sorrel Plaza and said, there comes a time where we must throw our bodies against the machine. and there's a plaque dedicated to him to this day. But yeah, so a really long history of advocacy starting back then. The university did eventually, as a result of student protests, reverse that decision or policy, and to this day, free speech is protected across all UC campuses. But even following that, Berkeley was really an epicenter for protests during the disability rights movement, during protests encouraging the Regents to divest from South Africa in the 1990s in opposition to apartheid, racialized segregation in South Africa. And even today, lots of student advocacy regarding Black Lives Matter and police brutality. So there's a lot of care students have on campus about sort of political change and advocacy and creating a better world and creating a progressive place. We're the #1 university for sending students to the Peace Corps. And in general, people care a lot about public service, and whatever they're studying, they want it to be something that's gonna affect the world in a positive way. All right, so with that said, let's get on to more about campus.
Thank you so much for that, Violet. It's really cool to have so much culture on Berkeley's campus, and you can see more of that in these pictures here. You can see a rally for just making sure your voice is heard, and that's on those steps that Violet was just talking about. So many things happen right on the center of campus that you can either participate in or you can just keep walking by. It's totally up to you. You're no way obligated to participate in anything. It's your choice and your decision. You can also see the UC Rally Committee, which I am a part of, right there with Oski again. And he's just popping up all throughout campus. You can also see the research that's happening every day. There's so many different things that you can get involved in, and you can get involved in research as soon as your first semester of freshman year, which I think is really cool and also a great opportunity.
Yeah, thanks, Kara. I'm glad you mentioned that you can really start research right off the bat, because I think that's one of the things that when you're looking at schools and thinking about the comparative advantage that Berkeley has are many, but research is probably like at the top of the list of the amazing things that Berkeley has. It's really just a great place to do that. So Berkeley's research impact and its general global impact really they're extensive. They go all over the world. You can go to any university and you'll find, the best professors there have either, studied under or worked with or collaborated with people and faculty at UC Berkeley. And you have the opportunity to work with all of these people as an undergraduate, which is pretty amazing. And I really think that passion for advocacy and social justice extends to a lot of that work. Things like, human rights and anti-racism. We have a lot of faculty that focus on these in their research and in general take that perspective of sort of equity to their research. I mean, recently Berkeley just settled a lawsuit with a academic journal that didn't want to publish UC Berkeley's research as open access, which means that anyone in the world can read it for free. And the university was actually able to come to an agreement that allows our professors to create their research in an open way so that it can be equitably shared across anybody, regardless of whether or not they can afford to pay journal fees. We also have a lot of other programs focused on accessibility on campus. So we have something called our student technology program that's able to provide students with Wi-Fi hotspots or laptops or whatever sorts of technology they might need for a given class. For example, maybe you don't have a computer at all, or maybe you have a computer that can't run a particular program you need for a class. So especially right now during COVID, there's been a lot of opportunities for students to get those resources. Of course, with regards to COVID, we also have a massive and extensive testing program. We've been running all sorts of different trials that students have the opportunity to be a part of to really do groundbreaking research and make sure that we figure out how to resolve this as best we can, as quickly as we can.
Thank you for that, Violet. And now we'll hop into our academics. We have 5 main undergraduate colleges, and there's the College of Letters and Science, the Rouser College of Natural Resources, the College of Environmental Design, the College of Chemistry, and the College of Engineering. If you could fill out this poll telling us which college you are in, that would be fantastic, just so we can cater the tour more towards you. But all of these colleges have incredible professors, and so we'll just hop into a little bit more about each of these colleges now.
Yeah, thanks for that intro, Kara. So I believe that you and I are in the College of Letters and Science, along with about 70% of you visiting us today. So excellent. We are a very representative sample. About 3/4 of UC Berkeley students are in what is often referred to as L and S for short. So we'll try to, keep it short on the jargony acronyms, but if you hear us say that this is what we're talking about. There are all sorts of fields within letters and science. Really, it's kind of the general liberal arts campus, liberal arts college of campus. So everything ranging from art practice to biology to physics to math to my major, geography, to Kara's majors are all in the College of Letters and Science. There's so many different programs here. If there's something that you're interested in studying that isn't obviously part of one of the other 4 undergraduate colleges, you can probably find it in the colleges of Letters and Science. So we're going to go ahead and give you a rundown of all of those colleges. I'll let Kara take the next one.
All right, up next is the Rouser College of Natural Resources. So if you're looking to get involved in something more with an environmental focus, this would kind of be your home base. There's lots of different majors that are here, including nutrition and toxicology, which I personally didn't even know was an option when I first came to college. And now I have a couple friends who have taken classes and they know all about what you should and shouldn't be eating. So that's really fun too. And the Rouser College of Natural Resources has lots of field work and even field work that is just right on Berkeley's campus. So you can see in these pictures, there are some smiling students holding some nets right by a creek. That's actually Strawberry Creek, which goes right through our campus. And you can take classes to learn about the water and you can help clean up, just making sure that it's a beautiful and keeping that natural environment. So that's a really cool opportunity that you have at Berkeley. And you don't have to be admitted directly into this college to take classes in this college. So if you get here and you can be in the College of Letters and Science and you can still take a class that's in this college or any of the other colleges. So you can build multiple different interests. But I have lots of friends who are in this college and they love it. And I have had friends who actually go on field trips throughout the Bay and they have great connections with their professors and they really enjoy just the environment and their motto, see the bigger picture, make a better world, and they really want to act on that in their future and now.
Absolutely. If you want to spend a summer living in the trees of Sierra Nevada and getting course credit for it, the College of Natural Resources is for you. However, if you prefer to be inside, perhaps in some lovely studio space working on your sketches, I don't think we have any architects with us today, but the College of Environmental Design is essentially Berkeley School of Architecture. Even if you're not in this college, you can definitely take classes in it. And the same is actually true for any college. In general, you don't have to be in a college to minor in a program in it or to just take a couple classes. So if this is like a side interest of yours or you're just interested in urban design or anything like that, that's where you can find it. It's in a really unique looking building on campus. Worcester Hall is built in this crazy brutalist style from the 1960s. It looks really different than most of the other stuff on campus. And it's this big concrete building and it's super cool. Has one of my favorite cafes on campus at the bottom of it. So definitely an excellent place to check out. I hope you guys get to take a walk around campus sooner rather than later and see it yourselves.
Up next is our College of Chemistry, which is ranked #1 globally. That's a really big accomplishment. There's about 1,000 students in this college with 3 majors of chemistry, chemical engineering, and chemical biology. So if you are interested in any of those, this is basically your home. They have lots of focus on innovation and research, and there actually have been 16 elements discovered from the College of Chemistry, which is really cool. And it's kind of cool to see that lasting impact. It's up on high school chemistry class walls. And some of those are part of Berkeley's contribution to the world, which is amazing. There's lots of labs, and usually you'll have your professor, and then also you go break up into smaller lab groups and get some really good hands-on experience in this college.
Awesome, that was spot on. Yeah, so in addition to our College of Chemistry, I think an important thing to mention now that we come to engineering is that chemical engineering, very confusing, is in College of Chemistry and not the College of Engineering. So I'm going to talk a little bit about engineering, but no, that does not include chemical engineering for very complex historical reasons. Berkeley's a big place, it's been around for a while. There's some weird things going on in terms of that, but I'm sure you'll get it straight any day. It's pretty easy. Once you get here, you'll figure it out. So College of Engineering's got about 4,000 students, so maybe about 1,000 per year, a little less. We've got a whole bunch of different majors. These include, all the standard engineering disciplines, but Berkeley also has undergraduate programs in nuclear engineering, industrial engineering, and operations research, in mechanical engineering and bioengineering. So we've got a couple other things that other schools don't have. And in addition, we have something called the engineering sciences. So I saw that we had a bunch of engineers with us today. I would definitely recommend that if you want to know more about those different programs, you probably already know your major if you are in engineering, but you might have the opportunity to take lots of classes, maybe do a dual major, or maybe minor in the College of Engineering. So absolutely go ahead and check out the College of Engineering website, or take one of our separate engineering virtual visits so you guys can come and hear all about programs in the College of Engineering.
Thank you for that nice little wrap up of all of our 5 undergraduate colleges. I'll talk a little bit about the graduate schools we have on campus because they do play a role in undergrad life. There's 9 main graduate schools, and that includes the Haas School of Business, which you can actually take classes through or even major in as an undergraduate student. You can apply during your sophomore year to get a degree in business administration through the Haas School of Business. And so those admissions also just came out. So it's a really exciting time for all of these bears out here. You can also take classes just as a regular student. I've taken a personal finance class just through the Haas School of Business, even though I'm not actually a student there. Additionally, there are lots of other graduate schools, and these are where our graduate student instructors come from. So that includes all of these students who will kind of teach your smaller sections, which we will actually go into a little bit later. But you can also minor or just take classes in all of these graduate schools if you're more interested in that as well.
Absolutely, thanks for that. So like Kara mentioned, all of those smaller sections is a really key part of the academic structure at Berkeley. So you guys might have heard scary things about how, big research universities like Cal or UCLA or Santa Barbara or wherever it is, the UCs have these giant lectures and you never know your professor. First of all, I want to say that that's not true. That's, really the minority of classes, and it does depend a lot on your major and your undergraduate college. But for almost all people, I would say it's very unlikely that you'll be in a significant number of large lecture after your maybe 3rd semester. So in addition to any large lectures that you might be in, which again, personally, I took maybe 2 classes like that in my entire undergraduate career. So it really, really does vary by person. But in addition to that, you are going to have something called section. So this is going to be a place where someone called a graduate student instructor, who's usually a graduate student earning a PhD in one of those undergraduate college departments. So maybe it's somebody getting a PhD in physics for your physics class. It's someone doing a PhD in English literature for your comparative literature course, things like that. That person's going to be leading a small group of students that's a little more similar to a high school class to talk about, course discussions. Maybe that's where they'll collect homework, they'll have quizzes, and that's a really great place to get to know people. So there's some stats on class size and things like that on Berkeley. But again, I really do want to emphasize that you might hear that Berkeley is like a scary, anonymous place, but that really has not been my personal experience. I think it depends massively on what kind of classes you're interested in and what kind of classes you take. You absolutely can make a big school feel small, and the opposite is not always the case. It can be harder to make a small school feel big. And of course, there are lots of resources that we'll get to a little bit later to help you with this, including the Student Learning Center. And in our residence halls themselves, there are actually tutors who hang out there at odd hours during the evening. So only reason I ever passed my freshman calculus class was because I could go downstairs in my dorm like 3 nights a week. There was some like junior economics major who tutored me in calculus, and thank God, because that's the only reason I got through that. That said, I never loved math. I think I could have enjoyed it plenty. That had nothing to do with the class. It was more about me. All right, sorry for the tangent. Let's keep going.
Thank you for that story, Violet. There's just lots of people who are ready to help you, and that includes people who are living with you. So let's talk about housing and dining. If you could answer that poll, just where are you joining us from? Hello to all of you from all across the United States and from across the world. So typically there are residential halls and suites that you can live in, and freshmen do get priority in these residential halls. There's lots of different styles. You have your typical high-rise buildings. You can live with 2 or 3 people together in a room. You can also have suites where you have a little shared living room. So there's lots of different housing options that you can go through. And you can also look on the housing website, and they have lots of floor plans. I watch HGTV, so I think that's really fun to look at. So I highly recommend checking that out. As long as you select any room, any location on your housing application, then you pretty much will get a housing offer. And we really want all of our first year students to kind of build that bond in the dorms. And there are lots of people who are there to help you, including your residential assistant or your RA. So that's another student at Berkeley, usually a little bit older, who has lived in the dorms before, who's there to help you if you have any roommate problems, or if you are also just trying to get to know more people. They usually have like little ice cream socials in the group lounge, which is really fun. So they're just a great resource. They can also talk to you about classes and anything like that. There also are theme programs available. So if you are looking to get to know people who have similar interests to you, you can apply to live on a floor that has a specific theme. And there are lots of different ones to choose from. Highly recommend looking into that if that's something that you're interested in. And of course, there are common areas for you to study in or to watch TV in. I remember my freshman year, someone on the floor hooked up the Super Bowl to the TV in the common room, and everyone just kind of walked by watching like the halftime show or the commercials. So that was super fun and also kind of cool to get to know more people. A meal plan is also included when you live in the dorms, and the food is pretty good, you know. I'd say it's pretty good. I think my favorite place to go was Cafe 3, that also was closest to my dorm. So maybe a little bit biased there, but there's lots of different options that you can have at the dining halls, including vegetarian and vegans. That's awesome. And definitely check your Cal Central for important deadlines, because there are housing deadlines that roll in after you accept your offer to Berkeley.
Absolutely. Yeah, thanks for that, Kara. Definitely keep an eye on those housing deadlines. But freshmen are very, very likely to get a space in housing. There is continued campus housing into your next 4 years, although to be honest, the majority of Berkeley students do choose to live off campus for a variety of reasons, generally because off-campus apartments tend to be a little bit more affordable of an option. A lot of students also might choose to live in Greek housing. I know you're in a sorority, I believe, so you might have the option of living in the house along with all of your sorority sisters. The same would be true for someone in a fraternity. Personally, I spent last year living in the co-ops, which is really a cool organization. I mean, I'm super biased. I had a great time, but it's basically a nonprofit housing system where the students who live in the houses actually are members of the cooperative and they own the system. So it's a little different than a normal landlord. They're not trying to like make, profit off of rent. They're really just trying to meet the costs of operating all of these massive group houses with, anywhere from 20 to 100 people living in them. So in an exchange, the rent tends to be relatively reduced. They're also able to do things like order groceries in bulk and drop them off at your door. So we got, fresh deliveries of produce, including like strawberries and blueberries and all sorts of awesome fruit that, normally you wouldn't buy because like strawberries are kind of expensive in February. But when you live in a group house in bulk, you can have nice things like that year round, and it's pretty great. And you don't have to go to the grocery store yourself. So meals are included in co-op housing. We've also got iHouse or International House. It's another off-campus property. There's a couple of different ones of these. They're generally off-campus apartments. A lot of transfer students do also live in on-campus housing. There is specific housing designated for transfer and continuing students. So if you're older than 25, there's some special opportunities for you. If you're married and have kids, there's some other special opportunities for you. If you want to know more about what that kind of housing looks like, definitely go ahead and check out the Cal Housing website.
All right, now going over some health and safety, just so you feel, welcome at Berkeley. We have lots of resources, including urgent care, physical therapy, all those good things is all at our Tang Center. So that's located basically just one block off of campus. It's really easy to get to if you ever need anything like kind of on that realm. There also is student health insurance that Berkeley requires. We call it SHIP. So you can get health insurance through that, just through the university, or you also have the opportunity to waive SHIP if you are like on your parents' insurance or you have another insurance, as long as it covers all of the boxes that Berkeley wants you to cover on that. So definitely check that out if that's something you're looking into. I know deadlines do come up usually in the summer. And also, the university has been doing COVID testing and tracing. I basically started doing COVID tests through the Tang Center back in the summer, and we've been doing it all throughout this year and just making sure that all the students are safe, especially in the dorms, but any of student is eligible to go and get tested, which is great. And they have lots of different webinars that you can look at, so definitely check out that if you're looking for any health services. There's also lots of counseling opportunities if you ever need that, because we want our students to be safe and healthy on all aspects. You can also check out Path to Care, and they have lots of resources for sexual health or sexual violent resources if you're looking for that, if something ever happens. You can also go to the Optometry Eye Center, which is run by our grad students that we talked about a little bit earlier. If you ever notice that the board is looking a little fuzzy when you're sitting in class, they can check you out, get you glasses, and get you all set to keep on learning. We also have lots of stress relief things because life can get a little stressful with classes and clubs and just balancing it all. So we have Pause for Mental Health. This is a club on campus, and they bring their dogs just to the main Sproul Plaza walkway. So you can kind of pet them as you're walking to class, and it's a nice little, brings a smile to your face. We also have Llama Palooza, which is during finals week, and the group brings llamas right to our big grassy area, the Glade. So that's also really cool, a good steady break. And this year they also moved that to be virtual on Minecraft. So we're still innovating even now.
I'm so excited to not only have a Minecraft graduation, but even get to recreate Llama Palooza in Minecraft. I think it's going to be great. Okay, so thanks for that, Kara. We have a lot of other health and safety services on campus. We do have our own on-campus police department, UCPD. Our campus has been really cognizant of sort of recent political and social discussion around the role of police in general, and especially their role on a UC or a sort of public campus and a place where there's students from all sorts of different backgrounds. And there's been a lot of really productive discussions about, where should their department be located? How should their officers go about providing services, and all sorts of things like this in response to recent concerns. They are the people who will respond if you press one of the emergency buttons on our blue light poles. So if you're walking around campus at night, we have this system that you might have seen on other college campuses where there's these poles. They have a blue light at the top. They're spaced out so that you should be able to see one from anywhere you are on campus at any time. And if you have any concerns, you can press one of these buttons. It's basically speed dial to emergency services. The response time is under 2 minutes if you ever have any concerns. We also have a couple other systems to notify students of anything that might be going on campus, like, hey, maybe there was a fire in a building and there's some smoke and the street is closed off, just go the other way, help keep people safe and help them avoid areas where anything's going on. In our residence halls, there's also a couple different security methods. There's a card, you have to tap your student ID at the front door. If it's after hours, you would check in with the security monitor, who's somebody just making sure that any guests who come into the building are accounted for. And then you have to tap your key again to open up that elevator, and then you need your key to open your room. So I know that sounds like a lot. It's not as hard as I described it. It's pretty easy to get into your bedroom from outside for you with your key card. We have our innate safety shuttles as well, along with a service called Bear Walk, where you can call up another student, and we have a series of community service officers who are trained, radio-equipped student officers who will go ahead and accompany you on any nighttime walks that you might be taking around campus. Maybe you're at the library studying really late and you just rather have a friend to walk with. It's an interesting way to, get to know someone you wouldn't otherwise, and just so you don't have to walk alone. I do like to emphasize when I talk about the things on this slide that I did grow up in the city of Berkeley, and I personally have never felt unsafe. I think a lot of the reason Berkeley provides all these services is because oftentimes people come from out of town and maybe they're not, as familiar with the area, and maybe, Berkeley is like a relatively urban place. Maybe they're not as familiar with, sort of standard precautions, like maybe don't, walk around staring at your phone, stuff like that. So college students should be cognizant of these things, but that's not to say that Berkeley is like a particularly dangerous place and you need to worry and freak out, especially for parents. Again, it's going to be okay. I grew up here. I've had a great time. I never feel unsafe walking around at night. Okay, on to the good stuff. If you guys have more questions, keep dropping those in the Q&A below.
Yeah, drop those questions. There's lots of things to learn, and there's many different resources that are available on campus to help you learn more about all those things. There's lots of student development opportunities here. including lots of community building or identity building that we have. They're all also pretty centrally located, which is great because it's just all right there, ready for you. And they've also shifted virtual during this time, so we can still access all of these resources. One of the big ones I want to emphasize is the Associated Students of the University of California, or the ASUC. So this is kind of like our student government, and they are there, and they're also all running for office right now. So it's kind of cool to see that on social media. And there's many other resources, including the Transfer Student Center. If you are an accepted transfer, you can go over there. And I've actually had friends who were able to like work in that office as transfer students. So there's another opportunity there as well. And there's also the Disabled Students Program, or the DSP program, and they can help you out with anything that you need on that aspect. And either you can have people take notes, or they can just help you get whatever you need. So they're super accommodating with that as well.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you. So we have all of those awesome student resources and additional, in addition to the things you need to support you academically or socially or however else, we have lots of things to support you recreationally. So Berkeley is a big place. We've got a lot of students, and we've got about 1,000 RSOs, or registered student organizations. So these are just, the official clubs on campus acknowledged to exist. That does not include all of the many, many unofficial student groups that also exist. So if you're looking for an existing organization that does just about anything, you can probably find it. Of course, if we somehow don't have it, you can start your own organization. I think all you need is yourself and then 2 co-sponsors, and you can start a club. I am on the listserv for UC Berkeley's Museum of Paleontology, and just a couple months ago, somebody was like, hey, we should really have an undergraduate paleo club. Why does this not exist? And like a couple days later, there were 2 or 3 students who are interested in being co-sponsors, and they've been having meetings all semester. So it really is that easy. There's also a ton of volunteer opportunities on campus if you're interested in getting out and doing community service. Just a couple days ago, there's this, school down the street that seems to be doing these things on Tuesday and Thursday. I didn't really know what they were. I looked into it. It turns out that they're doing supply distribution for Berkeley Unified School District. So for kids who are at home doing school, the parents can come by and pick up things like education packets, Chromebooks, or laptops, supplies that they need to do their classes, stuff like that. And they have volunteers operating this drop-off. So I just went ahead and I wanted to try it out. So I went ahead and signed up. And that's some really, really easy and accessible volunteer opportunity. It's literally like up the street from me. And it's a good way to give back. And it's fun, learn something new, meet new people, all that good stuff. We also have all sorts of career opportunities. Of course, having UC Berkeley on your resume, I gotta say, it looks good. I've had a lot of interviews this semester with Cal alums, and they're always excited to, see another Golden Bear, not just because of their allegiance to OSCE, but also because name Berkeley does indicate a certain level of quality to your education. And they know that it does mean you went through a pretty rigorous undergraduate degree. So can't be a bad place to go to college. Of course, we have tons of internship opportunities as well. So Berkeley is really, really well situated for a whole bunch of things. If you are interested in working in finance or technology or IT, we are very, very close to Silicon Valley. We're right next to San Francisco. Or if you are interested in working in public service, working for the state of California, working for a local municipality, the city of Oakland is right next door. We've got a state building and a federal building. So I know lots of students who have interned with maybe the Environmental Protection Agency, the EPA, worked in the federal building in Oakland, things like that. And of course, I didn't even mention, the third category of internship I think we're uniquely well placed for is people who are interested in sort of College of Natural Resources type stuff, working in the field, going into parks. We have a lot of access to areas like that. UC Berkeley has its own botanical garden, and then there's another botanical garden in Tilden Regional Park right next to us. So I have friends who've done different kinds of research and internships doing plant surveys in those areas. And that whole regional park network is full of UC Berkeley professors doing research really right in our own backyard. So lots of opportunities for things like that. Of course, we have millions of study abroad programs. Okay, millions is probably a hyperbole, but there's a ton. You can go basically anywhere you want. And if there's an existing study abroad program, you actually can establish your own. I almost did this semester, but I ended up deciding to graduate early, so I didn't. But I could have gone to the University of Zurich and studied abroad there, independently facilitated with our study abroad program. Of course, again, I've already mentioned some of them. There are just so many cool places to explore in the Bay. I want to talk about more stuff though, so we're going to keep talking, and you should keep asking questions down in the Q&A.
There's just so much to cover, and it's just so crazy because there's so many different opportunities at Berkeley and there's so many different elements. Our next part though is athletics, which I know is kind of a big part of California schools. There are many different levels of competition. There's Division 1, so that's like our football team, basketball team. Our gymnastics is also Division 1. So you can go and watch those. Football and basketball you will have to pay for, but then any other sport you can just show your Cal ID and you can go and watch for free. I'm a swimmer, so I loved going and watching swim meets. It was really cool to see. It was very, very fast. If you're not as Division 1 ready, you can try a club sport, so you can still compete against other schools. It's just a little bit more relaxed, but you can still get that love in for your sport. Or you can go very relaxed and do intramural or recreational sports. My sorority formed an intramural soccer team. We did not score a single goal, but we had a great time. It was very fun. We just played a game for like an hour on Sunday nights. It was a good de-stressor as well. Most of these occur at California Memorial Stadium, which is the home of the Golden Bears. And you can see that in that top left picture with the football team. We also have things happening at Hoss Pavilion. So that's basketball, volleyball, gymnastics. And so there's lots of different opportunities to go and see many different sports there. There's always lots of energy in Hoss Pavilion. We also have the recreational sports facility available for students to work out. You can also take classes, like I took a dance fitness class, and you can just go in there and kind of do some cardio dance. It's a great opportunity to kind of get some sweat on, you know. And also we are big on the Olympic scene. We have 207 Olympic medals from our current students and from our alumni, which is incredible and really showing off that Berkeley spirit worldwide.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for that. And yeah, I think athletics is a really big part of how people form community here on campus. It's how I made a lot of my friends joining Cal Ballroom my freshman year. And I think it's important to emphasize some of the ways that people are still trying to create and hold on to their communities, even when we can't see each other as in person nearly as much. So of course, you know, a lot of the normal activities on campus are being held, but remotely. There are some really interesting and unique benefits to this. One place where I have had the chance to talk to a lot of professors and interesting students who are in my very own department, but I had never encountered before, is through department seminars. So all sorts of academic departments on campus, you know, host guest speakers to come and talk about different things interesting and relevant to their research. But because we are doing this remotely now, it means that if we want to have a guest speaker from Australia, we don't actually have to fly them here. We can just, you know, join them while they're in their living room. So that's pretty cool. I've had the opportunity personally to really hear research from geography faculty from all over the world, which is really, really cool. In addition, we've got all sorts of other community activities going on campus. So Golden Bear Orientation, or GBO, for all of those of you who are new admits and are going to be attending Berkeley, you will be participating in GBO. It's a really fun opportunity to meet tons of new students. And it's the way that a lot of people really do meet some of their first friends on campus. Usually GBO groups are people who are in like the same, not necessarily your roommates, but people who are on the same floor, maybe the floor above or below you in the residence halls. So just people who you'll be continuing to run into for the rest of the year. It's a really great way to meet new people, and your orientation leader will be an older student on campus. So that's a really nice resource for you just to jump right off the bat.
I also am still friends with people that I met during GBO. So you really do make lifelong friendships right off the bat at Cal, which is amazing. Kind of wrapping up our tour, I'll look at some libraries and research that we have available on campus. There are 24 official libraries. I would like to be able to study in every single one of them before I graduate. There's over 13 million volumes that Cal students have access to. This is both like physical copies and online copies of things. So really lots of different resources that we have access to. It's kind of incredible, a little mind-boggling there. And remember when I was saying that you can get involved in research right off the bat freshman year? Most people do that through the Undergraduate Research Apprenticeship Program, which is called URAP for short. And so there's lots of different things on there that you can look into. I personally have not done research, but I also have made another goal for myself to apply to do some research next year, just so I can touch all my bases here at Cal. And I've had friends who have worked with the history department, kind of cataloging different like articles and figuring like filtering through lots of different things. So there's lots of opportunities. You don't have to be a STEM major to do research here at Cal, which is also great. You also can just ask your professor if you're interested in some of the research that they're talking about. You can see if there is a way to get involved with them. So there's lots of different avenues that you can go through. It's just kind of finding them and asking away.
Absolutely. Thanks for that. Yeah, research on campus is such a good opportunity. If you have any questions about how to get involved in it, definitely ask us below. I've had a really amazing time doing research on campus. I've learned so much from it, and I think it's really helped my graduate application stand out. Okay, so speaking of research, of course, there are just so many famous Berkeley professors and alums. The two on the top right here are just 2020 Nobel Prize winners. Of course, these are not Berkeley's only Nobel Prize winners. We have many, but probably too many to mention in one presentation. So here are just two of them, two of the most recent ones. We've got a whole bunch. Some of these people you guys might recognize. You might see Brenda Song down here, UC Berkeley alum. If anybody grew up watching The Sweet Life of Zach and Cody, you might remember London Tipton. That is the woman herself. Of course, we love Alex Morgan, Women's World Cup winner. We've got Chris Pine, actor, Star Trek, Wonder Woman, very handsome guy. And of course, you know, some more academically oriented people like former US Secretary of Energy, Stephen Chu. We've got former US Secretaries of other things like Robert Reich, who served in the Obama administration. So a lot of really, really excellent. Oh, and how could I forget to mention Marshawn Lynch? Come on, guys. Most important guy on this slide. Okay, but you get the picture. A lot of cool people coming out of Berkeley and a lot of amazing opportunities for students to network with these alumni. Okay, let's keep talking about cool Berkeley things.
Maybe someday we'll add your picture to this slide, Violet. I think that'd be very fun. All right.
I would love that.
Ending our tour with some campus highlights. You can see lots of the beautiful mix of nature and city life here on this slide. There's the notorious Berkeley squirrel. Definitely do not feed them. They will try to get your granola bar, but you shouldn't give it to them. There's just so much nature that's in the surrounding Bay Area as well. And there's lots of different things that you can do just in your free time, or you can just go sit somewhere, be serene, doing some reading or painting. So Berkeley has so many different parts to it, and I'm so excited that all of you may get the opportunity to come.
Thank you guys so much for that wonderful campus tour. Honestly, maybe want to reapply to Berkeley all over again and just, made me feel all warm inside. But we got some wonderful questions throughout the tour from our visitors today. So I'll start posing them live to you guys. So the first question is for Violet. Somebody asked, which dorm do you think is the best for freshmen in the College of Letters and Sciences?
That's a great question. So I think that the question about being specific to letters and science, this is important to mention. So UC Berkeley's kind of academic colleges are more of these intellectual groupings and not necessarily like geographical, physical groupings. So some college campuses, I know like San Diego, this is the case. Most of the buildings that are relevant to a certain college will be located in physical proximity. That's not as much the case at Berkeley. You are going to be taking classes all over campus, and it's not necessarily a reflection of what undergraduate college you're in. It might be a reflection of what your major is, but probably not super strongly in your first or second year, because you're probably also going to be taking a lot of breadth requirements like a history class and a philosophy class and a science class, even if your major is, French. So I would say that really it doesn't matter what dorm you're in for the purposes of like distance between colleges. In general, what do I think is the best dorm for freshmen? I have a controversial opinion on this. I think that they're all, basically the same. I did live in Unit 2, so I feel like I'm supposed to say like Unit 2 is the best, but honestly, they're like pretty similar. Your probability of getting like a double versus a single versus a triple is a little different depending on which ones you're applying to. And then also your probability of being on a really traditional dorm floor where it's just room, bathroom, room, versus being in sort of suite style living, like Kara mentioned, where it's a couple of different rooms grouped around a common area. That also depends on which dorm you're looking at. So that's something to consider. I definitely recommend checking out the details about each of those buildings on our housing website just to kind of figure out which one of those you would prefer, because that's just a really individual choice. And then in addition to that, definitely if there's any STEAM programs that you're interested in, those are associated with particular residence halls, so keep that in mind. And then what else to consider? Yeah, I mean, the dorms, Southside in general has like a slightly, that's where, the Greek houses are, that's where most of the commercial businesses are, most of the restaurants. So Southside in general is maybe like a little busier, a little louder. So if that's your vibe, you might want to consider that. Clark Kerr is slightly further away from campus, but it's a really nice walk and the rooms are maybe a little bit bigger. And then Foothill is up on the north side of campus, and that tends to be a slightly quieter area. There's sort of fewer commercial businesses, but there's still, places to grab coffee, get a snack like that, and good ways to walk up into the hills from there. So some things to consider. Honestly, I'd recommend like pulling out Google Maps and just like seeing where the different dorms are, figuring out like, what do you think your favorite cafe on campus is going to be? All of them are really close to campus, so you just can't go wrong. Like the worst possible walk would be like 10 minutes max. The second worst possible walk would be like 3 minutes. So I think you're going to make a great decision. I'm sorry, I can't tell you exactly which one is best for you though. I hope that helps.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think honestly, whichever dorm you choose, you're going to be near campus anyway, because all the dorms are just really, really like good locations in my opinion. So now kind of switching a little bit more about academics, somebody asked, is it possible to switch colleges when you're here at Berkeley? And by when do you have to declare a major? Kara, do you want to take this question?
Yeah, I could talk about this a little bit. So there's no real like set day where you have to have your major declared. Like you don't have to say, yeah, by May 1st, you need your major. It's not like that. It was more up to you. And Berkeley, I think, really wants everyone to find their interests and discover what they really actually want to learn about and enjoy learning about before declaring a major. So I know everyone in the College of Letters and Science, which is my home college, comes in undeclared. So you really kind of get the opportunity to figure out more about what you want to study. So you can switch colleges. That definitely is allowed and encouraged if you find that you're more interested in your engineering classes than you are in your physics classes. So it's really up to you, and you can definitely do that. And you can switch majors from within your college as well. It is probably a little bit harder to do so in the College of Engineering and the College of Chemistry. But other than that, it is usually pretty easy to either add a major, subtract a major, switch your major. It's really just a conversation with your advisors, which I have found are very helpful. And it's really good to kind of have that schedule out there. So definitely, it's very easy to do that if you are looking to do that. And I'd say that you generally want to have your major kind of determined by your sophomore year, just so you can get on track with all of your prereqs and your major requirements so you can still graduate on time. But I have a friend who just declared his major and it is his second semester of senior year. So really it's up to you on when you find your interests.
Yeah, I agree. I think, for example, like I am declared now in business, but I'm only going to probably declare my statistics major probably next fall, something along those lines. So it really just depends. Like you can pace yourself. I just recently added my stat major. So really up to you. And I think that that's what's awesome about college is that you have that freedom to do that. So now shifting gears a little bit more, somebody asked, what is it to do off campus? Like, what is it like to be in the city of Berkeley? I think Violet, you would be the perfect person to answer this question.
I would love to answer this question. So you're going to get a biased answer because A, I grew up here, and B, my interests are very particular. So number one for me is going to be all sorts of nature activities. Something really awesome about Berkeley is the weather compared especially to other UCs. It is much milder here, does not get very cold in the winter, does not rain very often, and also does not get like super hot in the summer. So of course, like UCLA, you know, beautiful, like 75 degrees and sunny is the average, but that's an average. So that means sometimes it's 90 and that's too hot for me. So I like it in Berkeley. And this means we can enjoy 365 days of the year, all of the amazing nature. So there's a huge like regional park system in the East Bay Hills. I just went on a 30-mile backpacking trip this week, and it was like, you know, like a 30-minute drive from my house to the trailhead. So really tons of places to go hiking, go climbing. There's a lot of outdoor culture. People are excited to slackline, spend time outside, all sorts of good stuff like that. And it's really accessible. We've also got the Bay. So if you want to like do a triathlon where you swim across San Francisco Bay or go kayaking or learn to sail, anything like that, that's definitely an option. So that's outdoor stuff. We've also got amazing food culture. I cannot emphasize that enough about Berkeley, epicenter of like the slow food movement. We got the farmers markets, we've got Chez Panisse, but we've also got, you know, a little more affordable student fare. Check out Cheese Board, Pizza Cooperative, really just amazing food, top-notch ingredients, and excellent places to get coffee. Berkeley has a ridiculously high density of restaurants per capita. So there's like so many restaurants, just so many, and so many different places to try, so many foods from all over the world, awesome stuff like that. And then last of those three, last but definitely not least, would be cultural things. So San Francisco is just across the bay. Oakland is right next door. These are two really, Berkeley, I think, kind of has a vibe of like a college town. We've got some city stuff, but it's also got some suburban stuff. Campus itself feels relatively urban. But Oakland and San Francisco, I would say, are very much large cities. They're much larger geographically and in terms of density than Berkeley. So if you want to go to Natural History Museum, if you want to go to a modern art museum, if you want to see the ballet or the opera or check out the Mission and historic neighborhoods in San Francisco, if you want to go to Ocean Beach, famous for its surfing, you can do all of those things. Or if you're into, you know, some urban exploring and you want to go like take a hike that goes underneath the Bay Bridge right next to the Port of Oakland, you have all of those opportunities. So really a massive diversity in things to do. And all of that is extremely well connected with public transit. So you can always hop on BART. You can ride AC Transit or public bus network for free as a UC Berkeley student. So it is very, very accessible. You're not going to need a car on campus. I think very few students have cars because it's just kind of unnecessary. We walk basically everywhere or we take transit. Okay, I hope that helps. There's a lot of great things to do. If you have more questions, definitely keep asking them.
Yeah, you honestly covered so much. And I have to second the food. I was blown away. Like I miss, when I go home to Belgium, I always miss Berkeley food. Like I always just crave certain restaurants. It's that good. No better place. But now for our last question of the day, and I'm sure that all of our visitors are so interested in hearing this one. So I'm going to pose it to both of you. Why did you guys decide to come to Berkeley? And more specifically, also, what has made you stay? We can maybe start off with Kara and then Violet.
Yeah, this is such a good question, and I'm so nostalgic because it was like 2018, so many years ago when I was in your shoes. So crazy. But I just applied to Berkeley because my mom was like, you know what, you can just check the other box on the UC application. And I was like, well, San Francisco's kind of cool, so sure. Fast forward a couple months, I opened up the email and there was confetti, and then I cried tears of joy. It was so crazy, such an incredible feeling. And then I visited Berkeley for Cal Day. So that's our admitted students day. It's a big open house, and it was a beautiful sunny day. And there was so much great energy just from everyone as we walked around campus. Everyone was excited about the clubs that they had. Everyone was just enjoying the beautiful day. And I just really loved all of that energy, and I could really see all the passions that Berkeley students have. Like, even though it's like I'm not super interested in environmental economics, like all of my friends will just rant about their passions. I'm like, wow, I'm so proud of you. Look at what you're doing. I can't wait to see where you go in life, and I'm so excited for you. So I think just Berkeley brings that passion out of people. And of course, there's so many different opportunities to show that, whether it's, you know, joining a club or going to a concert for a band that you really love and getting super excited about it for like the weeks leading up to it. So I think there's just so many different passions that Berkeley students have, and that has really drawn me to just stay and bring my passions to the table as well. And I also really feel heard when I kind of go on my rants about, you know, social media or something. So I really love that about Berkeley and its students. And its professors. I just love the campus and I love walking around and seeing all the beautiful buildings. I really feel at home here. That's my Berkeley story.
That was beautiful, Kara. I'd love to answer that question as well. So I did not want to end up at Berkeley at all. Growing up here, I was like, I'm done, I'm out, I'm going somewhere else. I'm going to go to the East Coast, I'll go to Manhattan, something like that. Very fanciful. And then, college application decision time comes around. I get my acceptances back. And I realized very quickly that private schools charge twice the tuition that public schools do. And I thought about it and I was like, I really don't want to go into more debt than is necessary for my college education. And so I was like, all right, I'm going to UC. I had only applied to the UCs on the coast because I mentioned 90 degrees, way too hot for me. No way I can study in that kind of weather. So I was pretty decided. It was either going to be like Santa Cruz, Santa Barbara, or Berkeley. And of the three, I thought about it a lot and I was almost going to go to Santa Barbara. But at the end of the day, I realized I didn't really know what I wanted to study. And I figured that Berkeley was going to give me not only the best academic opportunities, but the broadest academic opportunities. And I think that's something really special about going to a large research university that is literally the #1 public university is that no matter what it was that I took classes in, I knew it would be the best classes. And that ultimately is what led me to make the decision to come to Cal. And it was really just about the excellence of academics. And I was like, okay, whatever, I'm going to buckle down, I'll get through it. Like, I'm going to hate it because it's in Berkeley and I wanted to explore, but I'll just get through. It's going to be fine. I'll just study and I'll, learn a ton and that'll be great. I'm kind of a nerd. Of course, that's not really a reasonable way to live your life. So as soon as I got to campus, I realized there are other things I really like about it here. So I mentioned, I love the food, I love the nature. Like I really do, I grew up here. Like it's not hard for me to find like people who are like-minded and people I like. So I've really made friends pretty quickly on the basis of that. They were excited to be here. I was also excited to be here. And I was totally right about the academic opportunities. I'm somebody who likes to take classes, not only in the things that I study, but really all over the place. I've had the opportunity to pass, no pass, or take, just on a pass-fail basis, classes in things I'm totally unqualified to take just for the sake of exploration. So I took upper division data science and economics and philosophy, just because I was curious what it would be like. And I had the opportunity to do that at Berkeley. And I wasn't constrained to one particular program. I knew that those professors were going to be world-class no matter what the course I was taking was. So at the end of the day, I realized that, Berkeley is just an amazing place to end up academically. It makes a lot of sense if you are thinking about practical financial reasons. And it's a beautiful place to live with a really high quality of life and lots of awesome nature and social life. So that's about it at the end of the day. Thank you guys for bearing with us. I hope this is helpful for your decision.
Yeah, I always love hearing about our campus ambassadors talking about their Berkeley stories and what brought them here and what made them stay. But before we leave, I want to give our visitors some resources. So first off, I want to say follow us on social media at Visit UC Berkeley. We have a wonderful Instagram going. Also register for any virtual student panels if you'd like to kind of hear more about Berkeley stories and Berkeley experiences at caladmit.com. We also have separate recorded virtual campus visits and student panels available on our YouTube channel at Visit UC Berkeley, as I said. If you want to find out how we celebrated 150 years of women being accepted to Berkeley, you should go check out 150w.berkeley.edu to read about stories from remarkable women who attended our institution. And finally, if you want to read more about our experiences as campus ambassadors on campus, you should go check out our Bear Talk blog at beartalk.berkeley.edu. And finally, I just want to give another big congratulations to our newly admitted and waitlisted students. And don't forget to use the hashtag #IamBerkeley on any of our social media platforms, or when you're talking about your admittance to Berkeley. We're super excited to be hearing about your stories and kind of see you being engaged as well. So I want to end this tour with a Berkeley tradition. You will hear this throughout campus whenever you're sad, whenever you're excited, whenever you're just anything happening. this is what Berkeley students will say. So if all of our campus ambassadors can unmute and we can send off our visitors in a typical Berkeley fashion. So on 3, 1, 2, 3, go Bears!
Go Bears!
Thank you, everyone, and enjoy the rest of your day.